My name is Maria Hawton-Mead. I live in Brighton in a Victorian terraced house with my adopted daughter Lexi. I'm a sustainability consultant working in the local area, helping people making their homes more energy efficient and helping architects with new homes, building them to more sustainable standards. I embarked on this journey because I was advising my clients what to do to their homes, and at the same time I was facing problems with my own home. I had sagging rafters and a leaking roof, and the offer of putting photovoltaic panels on the roof, which meant that I had to improve the structure. So one thing kind of led to another, and I decided to do a whole eco renovation. So the first thing that I did to the house before I did my loft conversion was I installed a wood burning stove, and that was about 3 years ago. So I found that the wood burner was really efficient and really made the house really warm. The heat not only filled the living room and the dining room, but it came up the stairs and warmed the bedrooms too. I approached NAF Insulation to ask them whether they would be willing to sponsor me to do internal wall insulation, because I'd approached the council and was unable, unfortunately, to do external wall insulation because, being a terraced house, they didn't want my wall and the architectural features to project further forward than the other houses on the street. So, having approached NAF Insulation, they agreed to fund the installation of internal wall insulation on the front elevation and the rear elevation of the house internally. And I also pushed to have the walls monitored because I wanted to make sure that there was no internal interstitial condensation, and they agreed to that too. So what I did was I had designed a highly airtight loft conversion which went beyond building regulations with the level of insulation. I had a U value of 0.19. The eave, so the pitch of the roof, was actually insulated with mineral wool in between the rafters, and then it was overlaid with foam back plasterboard to a U value of 0.19, and I was insistent that all the joints were taped to make it airtight, to stop any air leakage and any risk of interstitial condensation. So to install the internal wall insulation, it meant that we had to take all the architraves off the windows. This is the internal wall insulation, and it's about 100 millimetres deep, so it's from here to here. So previously the wall stopped at the back here, so it meant we had to bring all the sills further forward, they had to be deeper, and then to remove the cornicing around the ceiling, just around the bay window and the rear of the house. I installed floor insulation 400 millimetres back from every external wall, and that was done by just lifting the floorboards and putting mineral wool, recycled glass bats in between the joists. And then wherever we lifted the floorboards to do any pipe work or electric work, then we put in more insulation, and we also insulated all the pipes. With the double glazing, I wanted the windows to have the same profile as the original windows, and I did look at triple glazing and more highly efficient glazing, but decided I would use the best U value I could achieve with traditional double glazed sash windows. I had them made locally with high levels of draft stripping. I decided to use all the south facing roof slope for PV panels because the feed-in tariff that was being offered was so high, and I had a perfectly good space which was unshaded and facing directly south. With the energy use, I've been monitoring that for about 3 years, and I've seen that through the various stages of the eco-renovation, my energy use has reduced by over 80%. There are 3 different levels of monitoring on this house. The first is myself monitoring my own energy use by taking my meter readings every 2 weeks. And the second is where we installed, when we were doing the internal wall insulation, some sensors at the end of all the joists in the walls. So that's in about 6 different places. And I take readings every 2 weeks to see what the moisture content of the joists is. We've seen that gradually the moisture content is dropping. Then we also installed some sensors inside the wall, so on the original brick wall before the wall insulation was put up, and those readings are being taken every 5 minutes automatically. So what were my highs and lows? Well, the lows were when I first embarked on this and I put the wood burner in, I had we had a problem in that when the flue was put down through the chimney breast in the attic, the then attic, collapsed and had to be rebuilt. So that was one low, because that was an extra expense that I hadn't accounted for. When the photovoltaic panels were installed, luckily I was around, because what happened was the panels that had been specified were delivered, but they were too big for the roof, and so they were going to overhang the pitch of the roof by 300 millimetres, so by that much. And the guys that were installing were happy to install it, but I had to put a halt to it because I was worried about the effect of any wind on the panels. There were lots of problems in installing this system because it was really designed for flat walls, not curved walls with bay windows. The other thing that was very difficult was that with internal wall insulation in most areas of the house, I had to move all my furniture out and just live in one room, and so it was very, very disruptive on my life, and I would physically be unable to do this now with a child because of the amount of disruption that it entailed. So the highs are that I have a really lovely warm house that I hardly have to heat now, and it's a much nicer place to live, much more comfortable. And my energy bills have dropped dramatically, and the money that I earn on the PV panels more than covers all my energy bills. And then secondly, it's really nice to be able to open it to the public and share the things that I've learned, and also to warn them about some of the pitfalls that I faced.